Eventually, a most legendary horror director, Lucio Fulci, proves that you have to start somewhere, and you may as well try to learn how to frame your scenes and understand the proceedings of a project, of a filmed script, visually. Oh, Those Most Secret Agents is just, well, terrible, although far more bearable than many abhorrent comedies released after that decade. I can easily sit through this compared with any number of English language comedies from the 1990s onward. Watch these screen caps, observe, would you have put up with this for 90 minutes? I did, but only because it was part of the Fulci retrospective. It seemed like an early genre film for him, among the swamp of banal comedies. I liked the Eurospy films, I thought it would be closer to those. No, not really. You can gauge from these screen caps how this movie is. It will either match what you perceive it as here, or be worse even, somehow. Let me read out more about the stars of this film, Franco and Ciccio. This is a preview of a book published about the two in 2004. They scream, they gesticulate, they grimace like a freak, and at least you could find out why. This is translated. This webpage was in Italian. I translated it into English via the Google machine. On the other hand, some of our producers like them a lot, and they make them play one film after another, each one more stupid than the last. In this way, there should be a limit to stupidity, but instead there is always a lower step. This is what the critics said at the time of the great successes of Franco and Ciccio's films. But why, despite the fact that the films were of low quality, did the critics not save their comic skills, labeling them as two jerks or as two scoundrels, when in reality it was their masks that impersonated these figures? This book stems from the author's need to understand why Franco Franchi, 1928 to 1992, and Ciccio Ingrascia, 1922 to 2003, are still tied to the preconception of a stupid and somewhat vulgar low comedy. Critics, with rare exceptions, have never loved them. The audience, on the other hand, simply went crazy. Why are they so loved by the people and not by the critics? Fabio Piccioni tries to answer this question by analysing the model of comedy of the Sicilian couple and researching its origins. Franco and Ciccio have always been linked to a type of comedy against which unjustified prejudice have formed. Parody. All those films that have taken up overturning in a desecrating key, other and more important films come to mind. Just think of The Beautiful, The Ugly, The Idiot, or Two Mafioso versus Gold Ginger. In reality, this is only one aspect of parody, in the sense that it tends to frame it in an exclusively literary context, as a simple figure of speech. Parody, however, can also be considered from a different point of view, which takes into consideration the motives, functions, and purposes related to man's need to show us an upside down and ironically chaotic world. And in fact, the parody of Franco and Ciccio aims not so much to overturn rhetorical models, but to use this type of comedy as a tool for a social act. The function of their kind of parody is to overturn the tragic, to exercise it, to mitigate hunger and poverty, a cheerful and mocking comedy which denies and affirms, buries and resurrects. The parodic comedy of Franchi and Ingrascia, with all its ideas and all its implications, has its roots in Sicilian popular culture, the popular poetry of the Sicilian Santu Lucia and Petru Amanalta, the popular songs in the carnivals, the Vastasate, the Pasquinate, the puppet opera, the popular theatre. This influence may not have occurred directly, but Franco and Ciccio were born and raised among the people, absorbing the climate, the customs and traditions of the people. Their way of seeing the world was born in the streets of Palermo's districts, in a confrontation of the harsh reality of everyday life. I think we'll close it here. We'll read out more about these guys the next time. We'll be talking about at least one more of these things. And it's actually quite aesthetically interesting. We'll have some even more interesting screen caps in the next one, believe it or not. It's a science fiction parody rather than a sort of a spy send-off. Anyway, thanks everyone. See you next time.